our blind date, the first blind date that I had been on, and I think that we both would agree that it was blind for me more than you.
It was partially blind for me. It was completely blind for you. We had our mutual friend, Julie.
Now, why would you say partially blind?
I say partially blind because I saw a picture of you.
So is that, why would you classify that as partial?
Because, I mean, it was, the picture was kind of far away. I think you had on sunglasses. I couldn't really see you completely, but I could see you enough to know that you were pretty decent.
Okay. So I had a hat on, sunglasses, away in a booth.
Julie was still is one of my dearest friends, and Julie had told me about you for about a year. So my heart had been in a blender. I had dated someone for 6 years and didn't date anybody for a while. Then I dated someone else, got engaged, had a broken engagement, and so I was just done. I was like, I'm married to Jesus. He'll never leave me. He'll never forsake me. I'm just going to throw myself all into serving God. And so I was serving in church. And then Julie just kept saying, you've got to meet this guy. Like he's all he talks about is Jesus. And I was like, no.
So she must have heard me coming in and witnessing to Rico.
Yeah, I bet she did.
When I was coming in talking about Jesus.
I bet she did.
Because she knew me before Jesus because I dated her niece.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Before Jesus. And so... Which was a totally different way of living in life.
Well, her niece is the one that showed me the picture of you. Oh. She had gone out with you, so she had a picture of the two of you together. Oh. And so that's the picture that I saw.
We'll have to give her props for that. That was really good.
Yeah, she remembered.
I like the fact that she still had a picture of me.
I should have taken it.
Like, what's that about?
And another reason why I did not want to go on a blind date that she had suggested is because she had set me up on another blind date before, and it was horrible. But this time she told me that he was a great dancer. She's like, he's a great dancer.
Wow, add that to the resume.
Yeah, great dancer, and he
likes sunglasses.
He loves Jesus, and he talks about Jesus all the time. She just said, if you would just please go out with him, because I really feel like if nothing else, you guys will be really good friends because you have so much in common. She said, all you talk about is Jesus. That's all he talks about. I really feel like you guys would get along. And I said, okay. And I knew I could get Julie off subject and I could leave and I would not have to face an answer. I would not have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. But this particular day, she did not take no for an answer and she did not let me forget. And when I got home, her question was, can I give him your phone number so he can call you? And I said, maybe. And then when I left, I went home. She called me. She says, you did not tell me whether I could give him your number. Can I give him your number? And I said, I guess so.
So back on my side, though, where she mentioned you, and I was like, I didn't respond because I, too, was not looking. I was not ready to go down that path. I needed to work on me. And so I just decided to focus on God, focus on walking with him, getting myself right, knowing who he was, getting healing in my own life, not having to need anybody but him. And so I was at a place of contentment, so I wasn't really interested. Mm-hmm. But she was like, hey, I think you need to meet my friend. I'm like, and then she says, no, I really do. I think you really like her. And I said, what does she look like? And she said, well, she's really sweet. So when a guy says, what does she look like? And the girl says she's really sweet, that's not the first words a guy wants to hear. He wants to hear, well, first of all, she's stunning. She's beautiful, amazing, and she's sweet. So she started with sweet, and she loves Jesus, and I'm thinking, okay, well,
she
maybe.
Was checking your heart. That's what she was doing. She was making sure you had.
God was checking my heart. And then I said, well, you do this. Ask her if I can call her. I'm not just going to take her number and say, hey, my name's Michael, and I love Jesus.
I'm glad you didn't.
You want to go out? And so, did you hear I'm a good dancer? And so I called you, and she said that I could call you. And so I called you. We talked, and immediately you had the voice that I like, and then you actually knew some things about Jesus, just your way of thinking, your choices, and just your convictions. And so, yeah, that was good. And you were a school teacher. I was intimidated by that because I did not have a college education. I was in Bible college, but I did not have a college education, and so I knew that you had been kind of at the college level, sorority, and that was really never, kind of
your world.
Yeah, it was not like necessarily like a match. And so you also were a school teacher, and you were going to another church. And so we had a different, style of church, right? Two different styles.
Definitely.
And, but at least we loved Jesus, and that was so I called you and I asked you out on a date, and I said, well, what would you like to do? And you said, I'd like to go to a play. I was like, okay. I've never been to a play.
And we've never been to one since.
And never have I gone again. So, yeah, and what's funny is I didn't have a credit card, and you had to purchase the tickets with the credit card. I didn't have a credit card because I didn't have credit. And so I had to ask you to buy the credit, to use your credit card to buy the tickets, which was totally humiliating. But at this point, I'm like, who cares? I'm not trying to impress anybody. I was just honest. Hey, I don't have a credit card. Do you have a credit card? I'll give you the cash. So you bought the tickets. I gave you the cash. And we were going to go so I picked you up. And I remember I had a dent on one side of my car. And when I pulled into your house, I pulled in on the side that didn't have the dent. So you couldn't see it. And I washed my car. It was clean. It was ready. Tires inside. It was ready to go, and we were going to go to Houston's.
And so you picked me up from my parents' house, sat in there and talked to my dad for a few minutes.
Which was very weird. I was out of my element. I walked into a person's house I did not know, met a man I didn't know, and I'm sitting in a living room in a foreign house with a man I didn't know, waiting to see a girl I've never seen. It was a pretty intense moment. Like, you talk about walk by faith. I'm like, I hope this works out. And then you walked out of the back, and you had a beautiful profile, and you were just smiling like you are now. And so you had the sweet voice, you had the sweet smile, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good time. Julie did good.
She did good. And then when I went out to your car, you had the black Supra, and got in, and it smelled so good, smell is so important to me. So the cologne, it smelled like cologne in your car. I was like, it smelled so good. And I do remember thinking on our conversation before we went out, one of the last things you said to me when we got off the phone is, what kind of jewelry do you like to wear? And I said silver. I was wearing silver jewelry. That was kind of the thing at the time. And you were like, okay, cool. I'll wear my silver. I have a silver ring. I'll wear my silver jewelry too. And I was like, I've never heard a guy talk about, like, even discuss what they were going to wear by any means. And so I was like, but I do love the fact that you like fashion, that you care about the way that you look. So we were supposed to go to Houston's, right, to eat dinner that night, but the traffic was really bad, and you were all nervous about that because we weren't going to be able to go
I didn't want to miss we weren't going to be able to eat. We were going to miss the show, and I didn't work margin into the plan to account for 5 o'clock traffic on a Friday. So we had to make a switch, okay? And this is before internet. This is before Google Maps.
Yeah, no cell phone.
Right? So this was just like, I know a place. And so I had to kind of remember, what did people do before Google Maps, right? Like, if there's traffic. So I had to make these kind of these decisions on the fly. So I thought, there's a little place, and it's called Mix. So we parked, and when I parked the car, I pulled into the parking space, and I heard I couldn't believe it. I ran over a bottle, and it exploded. I'm like, great. Not only did we not get to eat, now I've got to replace a flat tire, and we're going to mess that play. And so, but I was trying to be cool and exude the fruit of the Spirit.
You did really well.
Of patience.
You did really well.
And the tire didn't bust, so that was a plus. So we went in, didn't have a lot of time to eat, and so we had to get something quick.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to unleash the beast.
Because you like to eat.
Of the ferociousness of when I go to eat, I get in it. So we came hungry. And we left hungry. And so we had enough time to get to the play. So we got to the play, we saw the play, and it was really good.
So we go to the play. we sit down, and I'm like, my first initial thoughts were, didn't like your shoes, didn't like your jacket.
This is what you're thinking at the play?
Yeah, I was thinking.
So I did have on a jacket.
But you were nice. You were really nice. Your car smelled good. So these are the thoughts. Very superficial.
But you liked my jewelry.
I liked your jewelry. I liked your silver. And then you got up to go to the restroom or something, and you came back and you had bought me a shirt. You bought me a T-shirt from the play, and I thought that was so kind. That was, to me, that was just generosity, and I thought that was very sweet. I still have the T-shirt.
Well, I didn't go to plays, but I went to concerts. And when you go to the concert,
you buy a T-shirt.
You get the T-shirt.
I think one of the most memorable dates that we went on, I always say this because I think it was I just loved it. November was our first date. By December, there was some Christmas dates that we went on, and one of those, we went to see the lights at Lake Lanier, which is actually the first time that I really decided that I really, really liked you. And you had brought with you coat hangers and all the things that we needed to roast marshmallows, because they had a marshmallow roasting area.
I didn't know they sold that there.
Yeah, they sold it.
But it scored me big points, right?
Yeah, we didn't need it, but you prepared.
This guy was ready to roast marshmallows.
Yeah, you were prepared. So there was something about that made me feel like you really cared enough to put effort into the date that made me feel very special. We were driving around, looking at lights, and you looked at me and you said, hey, so this is our 7th date. We've been on 7 dates. And I would just like to ask you a question. And I started panicking.
What did you think I was going to say?
I had no idea what you were going to ask me. I didn't know if you were going to try to propose.
Oh my gosh.
Marriage. I did not
Wow.
know what you were. I did not know
Okay.
what you were going to ask. But you said we've been on 7 dates, and I was just wondering if it would be okay if I held your hand. And it just melted my heart. And I really liked your shoes you had on that time too. So we held hands.
What were they, Docksiders?
No, they were
Penny
set.
loafers.
No. Another time that I remember, you just melted my heart again. And you were so opposite from anybody else I'd ever dated, like so different. And I remember my family was over, and I was really wanting you to meet my family, but you were really quiet, and you
thought I knew how to work the crowd, and
yeah, and I was used to that. Like, also the people I dated, my cousins who I really look up to, they're very outgoing, and they were like going around talking to everybody, and you were very quiet, and you were off by yourself, and I did not like that. And then so I tried to break up with you, and I was like, hey, I really don't think this is going to work out, because you're just too to yourself. Like, I want you to interact with people. And you said, I'll never forget. And you were like, well, I didn't grow up in a big family. And I mean, it was just me and my mom. But if that's important to you, and that's something that you want me to do, I'll work on it. And I was just like blown away that you weren't defensive or mean. Like, most people probably would have said, well, fine, you don't like me, you don't like how I am, fine. But you were, I just thought that was such humility. And I was like, I felt like a jerk for even saying it. I was like, okay.
But it was real.
Yeah.
I was just at a place of such authenticity that, just be real. Tell me what it is you expect of me, and then I'll try to bring that, so.
Well, I love that about you.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't give up. I'm glad you didn't throw me out because of my shoes or because of my inability is that PR?
Yes.
Like, just, knowing how to interact and mingle and,
Yes.
engage in conversation and I just didn't really do small talk. I didn't understand the value of it, that it was to connect. And so, it all seemed like just, effort, hard work, right? But I didn't know that was important to you. So.
But I loved, and just being the fact that you were a youth pastor, and we were able to go around with the students and hang around with the students, and seeing you lead the students and seeing you care for them and seeing you pray for them and doing outreaches. Your heart for God was your passion for God and your passion for serving. I just was so impressed with that, and I loved being a part of something like that. I loved serving together.
And you loved seeing me play the drums.
Oh, yes, I did. I did love seeing you play the drums. I thought that was so cool. You could, yes, I loved it.
My most memorable dating moment. Well, in addition to those, I think two stand out to me probably was New Year's Eve of 1995 going into 96, and we prayed in the new year, right? We were praying at midnight I was at my parents' house, but we were upstairs with the door open, and we prayed, and then that's the first time I kissed you.
Yes.
Was 1997. 1997.
96 going into 97.
Yeah. Did I say 95 to 96? No, it was 96 because we met December 15th, 1996.
November 15th.
What did I say?
December.
I'm all over the place. Coffee, please. December 31st is when we had that night. So basically January 1st of 1997 was our first kiss. So we kissed. That was pretty special. That was great. And then there was a time where we were going to go to Florida. And I had my white Explorer, my Ford Explorer, because I just gotten the youth pastor job. So I went and got me a white Explorer. And I thought, I have made it. I am just rolling. And so, but what was funny is I knew that my love for God and my leadership was an influence in your life. And that just felt so good that I could do what I loved and not try to project something I wasn't to try to win your heart. I was just being me and what I loved. And so it was just really cool to see how God was, given that favor. But I think we went to Orlando and we did a road trip together, and we went to our friend's house down in Orlando and we talked all the way there. And I felt like that was a great connection night. And then a non-planned connection night, I think, was when I had, I guess I was experiencing dehydration and didn't know it.
Oh, yes.
Because I had these bad heart palpitations, and I thought it was heart issues. And I didn't know it was because of dehydration. I thought it was because of my previous life in Christ, just doing hard, narcotics and smoking and things like that. And so you took me to the emergency room. And so, I don't know, it was kind of a unique bonding. I felt you cared for me, you were concerned about me, you were nurturing me. And that was kind of an unplanned, because we were supposed to go out on a date, right? Yes. And we were getting up to go out the door, and all of a sudden my heart started flipping. I was like, oh my God. And it didn't stop. Yeah. And so we went to the hospital. And after a year of dating and courting, I went to my pastors, asked them what their thoughts were about Charla. And so they gave me their counsel. And then after a year, I went and asked her father if I could have her hand in marriage. And he gave me his blessing. And so we went out the first time, 1995, November the 15th. 1996, November the 15th. And so a year later, on the same day, 1997, November the 15th, we were in a youth service, and we were having this big, gathering. We had a band, we had door prizes, we had a lot of fun, pizzas. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to propose to you in front of the students, because I wanted them to see kind of a godly love story. And but also did it in the church because I love the church. That's where my life was changed. And so we had a game planned that night. And so basically they would draw the door prizes and call the kids up. And so I said, the first name you're going to draw out is Charla's. And so I don't care what the name says, it's Charla. And so I was up there to give the door prize away. And so she came up, and when she came up, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. And so,
yeah, that's very sweet. And I almost messed it all up because I got there and they were like, you need to fill out this thing for the door prize. And I was like, no, I don't need to win any prizes. This is for the students. Let them win the prizes.
Right.
And they're like, no, everybody has to enter this. And I was like, okay.
Well, they did their job.
So I put my name on it. And then when you called out my name, I was like, give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. else. And you were like, no, it's for you. Come on up. So I came up, and then you got down on one knee, and you had a crazy shirt on that was like some kind of snakeskin
It was
looking
snake
shirt.
skin, shiny.
I wish
It was
we
crazy.
had that
And a
video.
Versace belt with like gold and silver
Oh my gosh, what in the world? I
rivets.
don't know.
I don't know what you call it. And a big lion head belt buckle.
What in the world? Yeah. So anyway, and I was not like, I didn't
Church
dress
fashion,
like that.
baby.
I was not. My world was
Church
very.
It was very different.
Yeah, I was very.
And I was all in because, I like fashion anyway. And it's like, this church flow's a little, I like it.
I was very preppy
I got the jewelry. I've got the alligator print. Like, it's like this. It was fun. But
So you got
anyway,
that on
it was
one
crazy.
knee,
Got on one knee.
and the cross was behind us.
Yeah.
The old cross that said Jesus. It was a cross, but it was the word Jesus.
Yep.
On it was white behind us, and when I stood up, and all the kids were cheering, all the students were cheering, and then my parents were there, and your parents were there in the back. They had been hiding, and they were there. It was very, very special. The days leading up to the wedding, I had a friend fly in from California, so she was here, Stacy, and got to spend some good time with her. And then the wedding was at the church that I grew up in, which was Baptist church. And then the church that he was in was, what was it, Pentecostal? What is it called? I don't even know. It's not denominational, not the same denomination. So that was when we first.
It was classified as non-denominational.
Okay. But they were very different, very expressive
charismatic.
worship,
Yeah.
very, very expressive, and mine was more reserved and hymnals and
Pews
people we were sat in
stained
pews,
glass.
definitely stained glass. So we got married in my church, with the stained glass and piano, and his friends did the music. He was like, "Let me take over the music, let me handle the music." And you can do anything else you want to do,
wasn't it?
but I'm doing the music. And so I was like, okay. So he did the music, and people actually in the Baptist church, like, they don't clap. Like when someone sings like a really good song, people were clapping at our wedding because the music was so good. And then, my dad giving me away, that was special. And we had, I think, flowers on the piano for my grandparents that had passed on. And it was really special. I had a ton of bridesmaids.
So what it was like is my bachelor party was,
your bachelor party.
we got a limo and we had sparkling apple cider, and we went to Dave & Buster's, and we ate, played pool. So it was really cool. And then you had.
I thought you went to Kobe Steakhouse.
That's right. What did I say?
Dave & Buster's?
After, yeah. So we went to Kobe Steakhouse first. Then we went to Dave & Buster's. But we just rode around and drank sparkling cider. And
This is my
we
new
got
life.
and so that was ours. And then you had a really unique
Oh, yeah, because
bachelorette
I
because
totally
you guys, because I bought the house. We bought a house together. I moved in it. She was still at her parents' before the marriage.
So I don't know, how long did you live in the house before? I don't even remember.
About a month.
So we bought the house, we closed on the house, he moved in. I stayed at my parents after the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so my bachelorette party, we went out to dinner, and then we drove over to the house, and he wasn't there, and we prayed over every single room in our house. We laid hands on every room, and my friends all just blessed, all the rooms in our house, everything that would happen in each one of those rooms, the parties that would be
Which is really
happening.
cool.
It is really cool.
It was really powerful.
Yeah, and the name of our subdivision was called Legacy Estates. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Legacy Estates.
Yeah, and so November 15th is a day that I honor every single year, that we've done it now for 25 years. So November 15th is a special day. That's our first date. That's when I proposed. So that's when our story began.
Yeah.
It was 11/15/1996. Yeah.
I would say our present day love story is, I think that I love you more than I ever have.
Is that possible?
It is. I think it is. You're gonna make me cry. I don't know. I feel like we were so different when we first met. Like sorry. Discipline-wise, personality-wise, just so different. And just the way that God has grown us together. Like, I feel like we're really one. Like, all the areas where I was weak, you were strong. And all the areas where you were weak, I was strong. And I feel like we've just really grown together as one. And so having kids together, you know, just all the challenges of ministry and life together, I think so differently, I think, than I did when we first got married. And yeah, I do. I think that I love you more than I ever have.
And I think we're closer than ever. And it's really wild because I will literally have a song in my head. Like just the other day, I'm walking out of the kitchen because we have this thing where we walk around and we just sing.
Yep.
Right? Like we'll just
break
sing.
into song.
Just break into a chorus, a verse. And it was funny because I was walking out of the kitchen into the garage. She's behind me. And in my head, I'm about to say, Jaira, you are enough. And I didn't do it, but you said it. I mean, at the same beat and pace. And I'm like, it's so wild because that happens a lot now that we're one together. And I do think that, it really has been a match made in heaven. That it was, I love the concept of blind date, especially for me, because the way that I had seen and my perspective of relationships and what it was supposed to be like and the person that was for me, it was almost like God took that away so that I couldn't mess it up based off of because if I could see it, I might have made a misjudgment. And so I'm so thankful that God didn't allow me to mess it up by not letting me see what he had already prepared for me, And so it's just been it's like layers, and every year it just gets better, just the attraction, the passion, the laughter.
So many shared experiences and memories. And I think too, when what did you say? I just lost my train of thought. You said when we first met, I know what I was going to say, was I prayed. What my prayer was, because I had so many messed up relationships, my prayer was, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Like, I want to know, God, that he's from you. Like, in the past, I could just say, I could tell a friend, like, tell him I think he's cute, or I put the word out, or whatever, put the vibe out, whatever it is. But this time, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want to have my hand involved. I don't want to choose him. I don't want to be looking for him. Like, God, I want you to bring him into my life, and I want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's from you. Like, you're going to have to make him knock on my door. Like, I'm not going to go pursue this. And so I just had resigned that I trust you, Lord, whoever you want to bring into my life, you bring them. And that is when you showed up. And so different from anybody I'd ever dated, background different, the way that your personality different, the way you look different, like completely out of the ordinary. So I was like, well, my way hasn't worked in the past. And so I'm so glad that God sent you, because you literally are just everything that I ever needed, that I didn't know I needed. And just the way that you're so gentle and you're so kind, and you're gifted at so many different things. Like, I think that's so cool that you can play the drums, play the keyboard, sing, preach, play basketball, like sports. Like, it's just like you're the total package.
You're the total package.
You're the total package.
Well, I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect for you. I think
Yes.
you said that one time, and I think it's true. You're not perfect, but you're perfect for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so, yeah. All the glory goes to God,
Yeah.
And I think once I became just content, when I settled the fact that I might be single for the rest of my life, and that's okay, because I've got Jesus and I've got purpose. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be okay with that. And it was at that moment, it was almost like, now you're ready, so that I could be a better version, not the best, because I'm still improving and I still have a long way to go, but I was a better version of myself, or what was supposed to be a good thing would have become bad thing because I would have messed it up. So I give all the glory to Jesus. But you're so amazing. You're so patient. You're so loving. You build me up. You affirm me. You speak life. And I think you've brought the best out of me. And so I'm very blessed.
And you would be so bored if you didn't have me, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. I would never talk.
Yeah, you wouldn't talk. I'd have to pull it out of you. But I think, too, just that we married, I think that's what God did. We married not just for passion, but for purpose. Like, there was a God
not just
purpose.
pleasure.
Yeah, not just pleasure. Like, there was a passion for God and a passion for purpose. And that has been kind of the foundation of our relationship.
And what's neat about that is that was our focus, was the purpose. And God has so shocked us with the pleasure.
Yes, he has.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I told you that the other day, that you're I'll use this word, sexier now than you've ever been. Like, it's like you just keep getting sexier.
Woo!
And it's like, gosh, so yeah. So I would have never thought when I met you, you were a school teacher, you had short hair, you had on.
Not short. It wasn't short.
It was to here.
It was like a bob.
It was a bob. You had on pilgrim shoes.
I did not.
You had on a suit. What do you call that? A pantsuit?
Yes.
And scarves. You had these scarves with brooches. I
I did
mean,
not have a brooch. That was you.
no,
had the brooch.
you had the scarf tied off.
I did have
right,
that.
like those old cowboys. I mean, you were in deep with the teaching thing. Like you.
I got it from
All you needed was
I
some
got it
horn
from
red
the Limited
glasses.
Express.
Yeah. So.
That's my outfit. Was
And
from-
now you just look like so, but you are beautiful.
You definitely changed my style.
Well, again, we helped each other.
Yes, we did.
So-
Well, I think as we grow older together, I think that's going to be fun, and just being able to have some more shared experiences. Our kids are now adults, which is crazy. I still feel like that was yesterday. They were little, and now they're all adults. Our youngest is 18. So just, I think this next season is going to be really fun, watching our kids, fly out of the nest, and us have even more fun time together, and being able to reach more people for Jesus, and just continuing to build the kingdom.
Yeah. I think we'll have a season where we are empty nesters for a minute, and then seeing our kids get married, and then we look forward one day in the distant future, not too distant,
Not too distant.
to be
but-
grandparents.
Yes.
And we're going to be the best
Yes.
grandparents. We're going to be the best in-laws. We're just going to have a blast. And so I think that's in our future. And we want to continue to impact couples,
Yeah.
just young marrieds, helping even leaders stay healthy, and to help them foster and nurture a strong relationship and marriage. And
And we'll continue to put
And travel.
We'll continue to put a priority on our relationship, and because I think sometimes as people grow older, when their kids leave, they can grow apart because if everything has kind of been centered around the kids. But we've always made a point, because we've had great mentors in our life, to have date nights and to make sure we spend intentional time
trips.
together, and grow, and personally grow, not stay the same, not get stuck in our ways, but to always be looking for our blind spots and
even
giving each
if you
other
try to have a
feedback.
date or a trip, some people may give you a hard time about that, but you
Yeah.
can't let them.
Yes.
Whether it's your kids, whether it's other people, whether it's whoever, family, you do the date nights, you do the trips, because when your kids grow up, you're going to want to make sure that you had substance, because they are temporary residents in our home. And so,
And we genuinely enjoy being together. Like
do.
you're my favorite person to be with. You're my favorite person to have experiences with. You are my favorite.
So it was a Friday night. And so in ministry, Friday was like, really the only day
The landing spot.
that you could wake up. Friday was great. And I had a gaming system, and it was, what was it? Sega? Sega, I think so. I don't know if Sega's
It
a
was like
brand.
wrestling. Some wrestling.
Anyway, it was a gaming system, and I had just gotten into wrestling, like the WWE wrestling game. Like I loved wrestling growing up. And I'd just gotten into this wrestling thing where I could choose the character, and I started knowing the moves, and I was all into it, and you really did not like me playing that. And I just sat down. It was midnight. We had time together, and I'm like, okay, it's me time. And I got into the first round of playing, and again, I'm 20. I'm 30, 29, 30, and your water busted. And so we had to drive to the hospital on a Friday night at midnight. And then you were in labor until that Monday morning. And
only because
it was Labor Day weekend.
My water had broken, and so usually you go into labor right then. And they had we had some complications, and so they stopped my labor on purpose. And so then that next day they restarted it the next day on Labor Day, right? It was Labor Day weekend.
So it was really intense because they started moving the bed, tilting it, and you could hear Micah like just like swirling around. His heartbeat was 290 beats a minute. It was just crazy intense, and like, didn't know what to expect. And then you missed your window to get an epidural.
Yes.
And so you were going to have Micah naturally, not by choice, but by God's choice, obviously, for whatever reason, because
I think it was
totally
God protecting him.
And so when he finally came out, I didn't get to cut the cord, and for a few moments, he didn't say anything when he came out. And I'm praying, please cry, say something. I'm waiting. It was a very hard, because I'm interceding up and down that hallway like I am going at it. We've got praise and worship playing in the room. I mean, we set an atmosphere. I'm interceding. I've got people on the phone.
My mom and dad were in there, and your mom
was
in
there. We're praying, and then
everybody was in the room.
A few seconds, maybe 10 seconds, nothing. They get him over to the table. Finally, you hear a cry. And what we didn't know was the cord was wrapped around his neck, and so we didn't know.
It was it was like an emergency type of situation that the doctor didn't tell us. If I'd had medication, I mean, it may have really had a different outcome. So super grateful. But when he was born, I don't know, it also made us love each other more, because now you take on this new role as a dad and a mom, and watching you as a dad. And you were so proud of him, and just all the picture taking and all of the memories that I knew that we all, we wanted to create as a family. So I think that totally intensified our love for one another, and just, starting something like a family is.
It was wild taking a human being home.
Yes.
Like, we came there as 2 people, we left with 3. Like, that was wild. Like, okay, he's coming home with us. And I had my mom come over because I was scared. But I remember us driving home and you saying, like, why are people driving so fast? Slow down.
We have a baby in this car. Do you not understand?
And I'm a pretty fast driver, but I was in the far right lane, like going really slow. So
we need a sign in the window, baby on board.
But that was good times.
Yeah.
I've always told you, and I think I've publicly affirmed you in this, but I wanted to say thank you for always saying yes. Whatever God's put in my heart, you've just been yes. You've been, if it's serve here, go there, do this, move here, you've always just said yes, and you just trusted and supported my leadership and believed in me. And so I think that's been a huge difference. And me leading our family, and just always loving me, and always being sweet and being patient, and even if I've ever had a grumbling or just a snappy, irritable mood, you've always been able to go the extra mile and just show more love and more patience and more kindness, and just positivity and sweetness, I think even when you wake up, you smile and you're like, I want to hug and I want to kiss, and I'm like focused and I'm ready to get in my day. And so I just appreciate you bringing that lightness and that sweetness. That's why I call you honey, So.
Aw, I love that. Well, I love the fact that you are such a planner and a preparer. It makes me feel very well taken care of, that you plan, like you plan our vacations, that you take care of the budget, praise the Lord. Take care of our cars, like you take care of things. And so I feel so taken care of, I guess, by you. And the fact that you are humble and that you are always willing to learn, you're always willing to negotiate. You may have a really strong opinion about something, but you're always willing to listen to other sides. I think you're a very reasonable person, and I love spending life with you. I love doing life with you. I love our dates. I love our vacations. I love our family, and I'm just so grateful that God brought you into my life.